that shotgun, to touch on it, like you said, if you're running around in tilted, it's good to use at the beginning of the game. Once you can kind of get out of tilted when you're out of those close encounter areas, and you're kind of out more in the mid game type and getting towards the end game, you want to look at either a pump shotgun or a heavy shotgun.
Hey Fortnite fans, and welcome back to another episode of the show. Exciting week this week. We got a double barrel shotty added to the game. They're rebalancing some of the building stuff. SMGs have been touched. We're going to talk about that more in just a minute, but I want to say what's up to our panel. Steven, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
And I'm super excited. Very special guest, KP5ive. What's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're out in Minnesota right now, but you're going to be coming out to California eventually?
Yep, making the big move in about a week, man. Super excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're going to be talking a little bit about that news today. KP just joined CLG, so we'll talk about his going pro later in the show, but we do want to just get into some of these big changes that have come to Fortnite. So let's just start with the double barrel shotty. We are going to talk about best shotty strats. We were talking to KP earlier, and I think he's a great guy to talk to, obviously Stev as well, but which shotgun do you want to use in what situations? And, now they have this new shotgun added. Where does that fit into the arsenal? So, again, let's just start with the double barrel shotty. KP, let's start with you, man. How did you feel about this addition?
Yeah, so yesterday was the first day that I actually got to try it out. I wasn't playing the day before for the patch day. And I do got to say it is only viable in, super close situations. You have to literally be, literally barrel stuff in them to really get good hits. It is nice to use, though. It's nice to be able to have that quick double fire on it, basically, to land either two really hard body shots or get a one pump with it or whatnot. But overall use, after using it for a couple of games, I decided that I'm really not going to run it in my setup unless it's in the early game.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that feedback. Stev, he had only played with it. Steven, sorry. I call him Stev while we're playing Fortnite, so bear with me. But he was, kind of excited, and they were telling me, Fran, this is the shotgun for you. Because, I'm not a great player. I could use, a super powerful weapon, right? But, Stev, why don't you give us your impressions of now that you've had some time with it? How do you feel about it?
So I was lucky enough to drop in my first game after it first came out, and I got it, right away. And I took the first guy down, and then another guy ran into the door, took him out instantly because the fire rate is so fast.
Yeah.
But I was playing more today, and I realized when you're in squads and you got to take out a team of 4, and you use maybe 2 shots on the first guy, it takes I think 5 seconds to reload. You're just out of the fight until you reload that gun. So I've changed my mind about it, and I'm still leaning toward the heavy shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's it's funny, it feels like 5 seconds or something, but I think it's only a couple seconds for that reload. I'll have to see if I can find it. Yeah, 2-second cooldown time. Oh no, that's when swapping.
Yeah, when swapping.
So maybe reload is even worse. But so yeah, for me, I was super excited to use it actually. I've always been a fan of the heavy shotgun. So I got out there, started using it, and it's fun. But as they said in the notes, you got to be extreme close up, like you were saying, KP. And it is just deadly at that. I mean, you drop between 140, 150 shots on people. So in tilted, maybe running around inside, yeah, could be pretty amazing. But maybe let's move on to so now that it's in the game for now, we'll see if they keep it. What shotguns do you recommend rolling with as sort of a, let's say, mid-tier to evolving higher level player?
Honestly, that shotgun, to touch on it, like you said, if you're running around in tilted, it's good to use at the beginning of the game. Once you can kind of get out of tilted when you're out of those close encounter areas, and you're kind of out more in the mid game type and getting towards the end game, you want to look at either a pump shotgun or a heavy shotgun. I look at the pump shotgun. I love it. I came from the days of the double pump. I still wish it was in the game. A lot of people say it didn't take skill, but you had to aim for the head in order to really land 2 good shots when you were double pumping or switching back and forth. And, the timing on it, you had to practice a lot with it too. Now you can just hold down mouse 1, which we'll get into that later with SMGs. But I would honestly say that the best shotgun in the game is definitely going to be the heavy shotgun. It is going to be a little bit harder to use, though, because the reticle is going to be a little bit smaller. So your pellets are going to be more like a slug in a way, and you need to make sure that you hit inside that circle. The pump's going to have a little bit more of a spread out shotgun pattern. And you also got to realize when you're in these high intense build fights, when you're in these professional scrims, when you're in the duo scrims, solos, or the squads, you're going to be lucky enough to get maybe one shot off before you have 17 different walls thrown in your face and you got to continue building higher to not lose the high ground. So I would say heavy shotgun all the way, and then right after that would be the pump.
So if you're just getting into the game, though, whatever, yeah, it sounds like you're saying if you really know what you're doing, drop in and you spot one of these new double barrels. Sure, grab it for a while in the beginning, then drop it and find something next. So where does, let's go through. You got green and blue tack shotties, and then you, of course, have the same with pumps. The heavy is going to be a lot more rare, so I think it's like, with any luck, of course, if you get that, it sounds like you'd be like, just keep it, right?
Yeah.
Stick with that. But
For sure.
excluding that, and even the gray tack shoddy. So what would you recommend people pick up and carry with them throughout most of the game?
It depends on the loadout that you're running. If you have a heavy or a pump, depending on your skill level, if you're a builder, if you're kind of one that will build a little bit and then just jump down and kind of go for those continuous shots, a tactical shotgun is a really good shotgun when you know how to use it properly. One thing that a lot of the more experienced players will do if they are rocking a tactical shotgun is a lot of the edit plays, because you can instantly edit, pull out the tactical shotgun and shoot right away. If you have a pump or a heavy, I know the pump delay, the pull out delay on the pump is, I believe, a little bit longer than the heavy. And if you edit, you have a slight like half of a second where you can't shoot, where you like leave yourself exposed to somebody if you're in an edit play, and they can kill you through your own personal edit where you're supposed to have the upper hand.
Yeah.
So I would recommend learning the tac shotgun and learning how to get a shot off on somebody and then block a shot from them, get a shot off on somebody, block a shot. Or if you land a good shot where you know you can just follow up with a nice secondary damage shot, use the tac shotgun because it is a good shotgun. And a lot of people are like if you can get a blue tactical shotgun, a lot of people are almost taking the blue tactical over having like the pump or having the heavy shotgun because you can get more shots off within a smaller amount of time.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am at. Like, I know that the blue pump, if I can get that headshot and have the range, like I'm in a better position, but I'm just not that good with it ultimately compared to you guys.
Yeah.
So interesting. It sounds like your advice is you're kind of saying like practice editing walls between you using a tac shoddy. Is that what you were saying? To like start to.
So I mean, definitely. Yeah, when you learn, once you learn each shotgun, like how you can use it for different situations, it's going to help you kind of excel your gameplay tenfold because obviously shotguns are one of the strongest guns in the game. They are used, I believe they said like 60% of the time when kills are like to be had, like through the actual Fortnite game statistics and stuff. So if you can learn how to use a certain shotgun in a certain situation, you're definitely gonna improve and build as a player and kind of learn how you can outplay it, what you can do differently, and you can learn what you can use to your advantage with a certain shotgun from a certain range or a certain tier level of the actual shotgun and the damage that it can deal.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't really think about practicing with the tac shoddy.
The tatty.
The tatty. That's what we're gonna call it now. Steven, what are your like shotgun tips? Like, what do you tend to roll? But what would be your tips for players who are maybe struggling? Right? You're like, should I use the pump? Should I use the tac shoddy? I go through it all the time, honestly.
Like KP said, I'm a big heavy and pump fan. There's always a risk and reward though. Like if you miss your first pumpy. Now you got me saying pumpy.
The tatty and the pumpy.
Tatty and the pumpy.
If you miss your first pump or heavy, you have less time to recover, which is you kind of leave yourself exposed. So you have to really hit that first shot. With the tac, you can just kind of spray it. So if you're new to the game and you're getting a feel for it, I'd suggest tac. But once you start feeling comfortable, definitely go with heavy and pump because they give you a better chance to get a kill.
Yep. Yeah, someone who I have a lot of hours in Fortnite. I'm just not as good as you guys in terms of aiming and reaction and stuff. I do love the heavy though. It feels, I don't know, maybe because of the range on it, I guess. Like I can hit the shots and the speed of it. So actually, I like heavy, just sort of absolutely, I would recommend just use it no matter what. I don't think you got to worry as much about being as, say, high skilled as you might be with, say, a blue pump or whatever. But what other tips might you have for people, when you're using the guns? Like blue pump and green pumps are going to be good at range versus probably the tac, right? Or stuff like that. What would you recommend, Steven?
So if you are like trailing someone and they don't know you're there, I'd always maybe lead off with a shotgun blast, like a pump shotgun blast or a heavy shotgun blast, because it does so much burst DPS, and then switch to your SMG.
Get them low.
Yeah, switch to your SMG or AR, or just burst them, build, get on top of them, burst them again. You want to have you want to be able to quickly DPS your opponent and build and protect yourself, so you get like windows of opportunity to DPS without leaving yourself exposed. With attack, I feel like, I don't know, people kind of get into this mode where like, oh, I have so many shots and my fire rate is fast, I'm just gonna try to just mow him down.
Yeah,
and it leaves yourself exposed.
Interesting. KP, yeah, are you one of those like you'll just come in guns blazing with shotties? Is that your strategy, or how do you tend to play it?
Yeah, definitely. Coming from a different game, H1Z1, where movement was such a huge thing, and obviously building wasn't in the game. Coming to Fortnite, learning obviously the different guns, the different tiers of the guns, I realized right away that I was like, I'm a super aggressive, hold the W key, build up on them, put pressure, and hit them with the shotguns, 100%.
Nice. All right, well, let's workshop this. So they've added this new gun in the game. We see this happen a lot, and then sometimes they just go away, or they take away a different gun and it stays. How you feeling? Is this gun fine? Leave the double barrel in the game? Would you change anything about it? What do you want to see in terms of the double barrel, KP?
In terms of the double barrel, I think it's fine at the state that it's in. I haven't really had. I've had maybe like 2 or 3 hours of playtime with it. I haven't had like a pretty ridiculous death to it yet. I'm sure once I get into a fight and I'm top 5 and I have 15 kills and I edit into somebody's 1-by-1 trying to trap them and I catch, a 2-piece to the mouth, I'm probably gonna be a little bit more tilted. So, check back with me next week and I'll let you know what I'm thinking. But for now, I'm giving it an okay. For now, on the double barrel, I'm giving it the pass.
Yeah, no, and that's fair, man. The situations that you're in with the gun can vary a lot depending on the placement and the time you spend. Steven, where do you stand on the gun?
It's fine. I'm in the same position. Yeah, it's like if I see the double barrel, I'll take that over a tac. But the second I see even a green pump, I'll probably take that. But this is a good segue into the next topic, SMGs. I feel like they added this shotgun as a reaction to the whole uproar, like the meta of SMGs. The SMGs were way too strong, and they actually nerfed SMGs again today. Yeah. So we can talk about that with KP.
Yeah, well, we're not quite to that next topic, though. But yeah, well, no, it's okay because I got to have a clean cut in the episode. But maybe let's just finish up. We can still talk balance, though. So I was going to ask that, just overall balance of guns, just to touch on that real fast in the loadouts. Sounds like you're saying this doesn't really affect it. But how are you feeling about guns in the game and loadout, period? Do you feel like the state of, Fortnite weapon play is in a good spot right now?
No, I think the state of Fortnite weapon play is actually completely trashed, honestly. I love the game. I love the developers. And I know that they have the infrastructure and they listen to their community and stuff to make the changes and stuff. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to push too much content out. And they're trying to push way too many guns out, way too fast, way too quick. And every game that succeeds is going to have different metas that you have to adapt to as a casual player and as a competitive player. It's way too many guns, way too many different metas every single week to adapt to, and they are slightly, they are progressively lowering the skill gap every single patch they put out, and it scares me because I've seen other games do this exact thing that are on the bottom of the viewer lists now, in the directory. So I'm not a fan of the metas at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're reaching out to 125 million players or whatever worldwide, and you're a pro player out there, and so the game can be tons of fun on the pro level, right? But it's the most popular game in the world, and it sounds like you're saying like you're afraid some of that's eroding. Yeah, like I'm kind of caught in the middle of this season 4, season 5 change. I like some of it, but I can agree a lot of the commentary on the show lately has been just the buildings are coming down. Again, we're going to get into that after this, the building health and SMGs just tearing through everything. But Steven, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like skill gaps, like they are sort of making it a lot easier for trash players like myself to get out there and get some cheap kills? Or what do you think?
The skill gap is definitely deteriorating. They touched on it a bit with this patch that went live today, but Fortnite's biggest blessing is also its biggest curse. Everyone praises Epic and the Fortnite developers because they push out so much content and they do a really good job of keeping their game fresh. But at the same time, as you're pushing all this new content, balance changes get lost. There's too much guns. There's oversaturation. There's like multiple guns for the same role, and it kind of feels like it's way too much. And I wouldn't mind if they just slow down, pump the brakes a little, and focus really on what the players want.
What do you guys want? I mean, yeah, like KP5, what do you like? So do you want them to remove stuff right now?
I've been waiting for this question from somebody, from Epic, from you guys, from anybody,
Let's
dude.
I
have my brain working, man. Kind of what Steven said. I agree with him. I think that they need to slow down a little bit, and they need to focus on the guns that they have now and make sure that they balance them properly before they start trying to push a bunch new content. I mean, put new content out there, but don't put a bunch of new guns out there. Number two, do what other games do. They have a test server for a reason, so you can test things. A lot of the times what they're doing is they're putting in, every single week, they're putting in a new gun and something's broken. It's either way too OP, there's a bug from it, there's ghost bullets, there's ghost shots. And then what happens is they then have to do a hot patch, and that hot patch ends up or a hot fix, and that hot fix ends up like breaking something else. And then they try to fix that, and then it breaks something else. I think the biggest solution for this would be to either one, have a test server and allow the community to test it and allow like a community vote, because we're competitive players, we're pro players, we know what we want, right? Is that the best decision always for the video game company? No. They want to excel, and they got to do what they got to do to appeal to the casual players. And I think any of us can respect that and appreciate that. But I think maybe doing a casual playlist and then a competitive playlist, to where the competitive scene can pick and choose what guns and what things can go in that competitive playlist. That way we have like our own little community of like things that we have set in stone, little rules, or kind of like Counter-Strike, how they have a casual and then they have a competitive. And I think that's going to be the best outcome for casual players, competitive players, and Epic together, and make everybody happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, like a permanent mode. Like, first of all, test server, I thought you were going to say that. I totally agree, especially if you're a serious player. It seems like maybe we are getting there. You have so many players that can jump in there and test out this new stuff. You'll get so much feedback instantly. So I think that's a really good idea. Especially to your point, they're fixing stuff so often that like you can make the argument for the time you spend fixing stuff, you could probably just run this test server right and figure it out. So who knows? Maybe they're out there working on that. And then you also mentioned this competitive playlist. Steven, what do you think of that? Like whether it's, solo showdown style where it's a lot sweatier, but it's got rankings that are visible. And I don't know, what do you think of a mode like that? Or it's just like, it's got fewer different tuning, and it's for competitive. Do you think that's going to split player bases? Where do you stand on the whole thing?
Well, I don't think they have to worry about player base. There's so many concurrent players right now. It'd be interesting to see like a separate mode, like maybe a playlist with they reverted back to the double pump meta, right? To see how it plays out. Yeah, it'd be really interesting. I'd love to see that happen.
Yeah, I would. I hadn't really thought about it yet. Like, it's the biggest game in the world right now, and honestly, like, I'm always looking forward to playing it, regardless of things being a little broken. Like, there's a lot to explore in the game, but maybe we are at that point where having a truly like competitive list with rankings and standings, even because they're out there doing like summer skirmish and stuff like this, people are super interested to compete. But then we're all like piled into the same playlist. So I think that's a really interesting idea. So before we move on to, go ahead, Kevin.
No. I was just agreeing with your statement. I was just saying, yeah, that's a good idea. I like it.
Nice. Yeah, for those out there, we have a little bit of voice delay between his location in the world and ours. It's just like playing the game sometimes. So bear with us on that sometimes. But I wanted to ask like last questions on balance and all that before we move on to some of the changes they've made. Like what right now that's bothering you? You're like, okay, wait, let me just change the loadout, get rid of these guns, change this. What would you do to the game right now, KP, to make it more yours?
I would take away some of the SMGs. There's way too much of a oversaturated market with the SMGs. You got the Tommy gun, you have the P90 or the compact SMG, you have the silence SMG, you have the regular SMG, and it's just like there's no need for all those. I can see the silence SMG, the tactical SMG, and the Tommy gun. Reduce the Tommy gun's clip size from 50 down to 30, and maybe reduce the damage output on builds. You can keep the damage output on players, but reduce the damage output on builds. And I think it's going to slow down the game a little bit and kind of get away from that what we call the mouse one meta, where you're just literally holding W and mouse one and just slaying people.
Yeah, interesting. So ditch the compact P90, keep the drum gun. That's what you just said, right?
Yep.
Okay. Steven, what about you?
I like it.
Completely agree with KP. There's way too many guns in different slots. For instance, I would like them to get rid of the silenced SMG. Keep the TAC SMG.
You mean the current SMG?
Well, there's a TAC SMG and then the silenced version, and it serves like
the TAC is vaulted right now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Meaning the previous one they vaulted, it's called the
TAC's
TAC.
out in the game right now.
Yeah, the current one they just call SMG now. That's what's so confusing. They've had so many SMGs. But remember, so anyway, you're talking about the regular.
Exactly.
Just called,
you get like.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Regular,
No,
you're saying
right.
regular
the
SMG.
TAC, yeah, the TAC is vaulted. I'm talking about the regular SMG, the one that's an MP5.
Yes.
The one that looks like an MP5. Yeah. There's a silenced version and an unsilenced version. I think they could just get rid of the silenced version, reduce the... Well, they did reduce the compact SMG today to 40, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And another thing that I kind of wanted to see for a while is maybe increase the resources you get from harvesting, because I feel like the good players they're always just harvesting. They want at least 2,000 materials to get into a really good build fight, right? And there's no point in harvesting for like 10 to 15 minutes when you're ultimately going to get to that point anyway, right? So just give us more materials so we spend less time harvesting and more time moving and fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be really interesting. I try to spend a lot of time harvesting. And sometimes too, you just get in a bad situation and you waste like whatever 500, materials just to get out of it, and then you get your next encounter, and you got nothing, and you're like, well, I lost because I had nothing.
Yeah, I would rather have a revolver and 999 wood than a shotgun, AR, and SMG and no materials.
Right. KP, sounds like you wholeheartedly agree with that.
Absolutely. I definitely think that the material farming needs to be boosted up a little bit. Basically, one of the things that they've done is they've done the blitz mode, and I think the material harvesting and the gathering of materials in the blitz mode, I think that was kind of on par with what I think a lot of people would like to see. So you're not getting a crazy amount more, but you are getting a decent amount more to where it kind of makes it worth it to farm more brick or farm more metal. Especially with the change that came in today, the metal having the most HP now when it's placed, and then brick having the second most HP now when it's placed. Yeah. So I would like to see that, the mats kind of shoot up a little bit, because we do spend a lot of time farming materials. I mean, in public games, not as much, but when we're doing our scrims, if you ever watch those, 15 minutes of the game is literally spent farming materials. And if you're in an area where it's good for materials, but the safe zone is on the other side of the map and you have to rotate earlier, you're SOL, because you don't have that time to farm those materials. And you get into one big build fight, you're playing against all these other pros, you're going to drop 1,000 mats in a good build fight at least. You kill them or they kill you. Nobody has mats to gather from that, because you just used all those mats to get into that build fight. So,
yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree. Thanks for keeping it PG, by the way. Now that is a perfect time for a segue. We do want to touch on the new weapon balance and building balances that they just, hot patched, hot fixed just today, was it? We are recording on a Thursday. You'll see this on a Friday, so a little context there. But, okay, let's get into what the changes are. Let me run through them real fast. So for building changes, what they said they wanted to do is by increasing the initial wall health values based on material type, material strength, it should feel more intuitive when making decisions. Basically, that was a long way of saying that they have increased the wood wall initial HP from 80 to 90. It used to be 100 before, they did the previous nerf, by the way. So now they're somewhere in between that 100 at 90. Stone wall initial health has been increased from 80 to 100. It used to be at 90, actually. So stone they brought up a little higher than where it was. So that's interesting. And then metal, I don't know that they had touched or where they touched it last, but that's up to 110 now. So feeling pretty strong. So in addition to that, and they do go hand in hand, obviously, this is exactly what they're addressing. There's so many SMGs, building health came down that you're just like trying to get protected and people are tearing through your walls, you have no chance. So what they've done is they say they wanted to drop SMG effectiveness, that they should feel good against structures, but not consistently be the best option in multiple scenarios. Looking at this list, I'm not sure they're quite there yet, but here's what they say. The compact SMG, they've reduced the damage from 22 to 21 to 21 to 20. So they just dropped it 1 point on each side of that. And then reduced the magazine size from 50 to 40. Drum gun, they have reduced fall-off damage range from 80 to 70% at 3,500 units. And they've reduced the fall-off range damage from 65% to 55% at 5,000 units. So change drop-off, and then they did a little bit with jumping accuracy, target accuracy, and the spawn rate. Okay, a lot of information. Be sure to check out Epic and all the news on the patch there. But, okay, let's start with you, KP. What do you think of these changes? Have you even had a chance to test them out yet?
No, so I haven't actually. Today
All right.
I spent kind of getting ready for packing, getting ready for moving, Definitely looking forward to it, though. It's going to be very interesting, kind of like what I was touching on, talking about material gathering and, us wanting more materials from a single swing or hit. It's going to be more viable to use brick and metal now than what it used to be. Because like you said, the wall or the wood used to be 100 HP as soon as you placed it. That was always the best go-to material to use in a build fight because that's going to be the strongest and the least likely to get shot out as fast as brick, and especially metal. Metal, you shoot it like once or twice. I think it was like 50 or 60 health. You shoot it once or twice, I mean, that metal's gone. Obviously, it is much easier to acquire wood material than it is to acquire metal material. So I'd be interested to see how things are going to switch up and gathering those materials and using those stronger ones. But I look forward to it. It's another switch up of a small meta change. And it's going to be interesting to adapt and see what teams do well with it and what teams don't do well with it.
Yep, they're messing with the game yet again. Something for you to get out there and get used to. Steven did have a chance today. Again, we record on Thursdays, so you had just like a little time with it. How's it feeling to you? Have you had much time?
I played a little bit of it, not enough to really tell, but just reading on paper, all these changes are great. When they nerfed wood and brick to initial health be the same, I was always just like, that's really weird because wood is easier to harvest than brick. There's no point in harvesting brick anymore.
Yeah.
This promotes variety. Metal's going to be really good. The compact SMG magazine nerf, I like that. 40 seems like a good number because it is an epic and legendary gun. It should have more than the green and blue counterparts. And then the drum gun, which in my opinion, was the best gun in the game. I think it needed this nerf. It was way too strong. You could just pump someone and then just drum gun them down.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna spend a little more time. The jumping accuracy was a little strange to me. I didn't really think they needed it, but I'll test it out. And the decreased spawn rate from chest and floor loot. That's huge because I've noticed in the games I've been playing before today, you could always get a drum gun and feel pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, but they boosted. Oh, no, they decreased jumping accuracy. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to make fun of Tim the Tap Man and say maybe he were trying to help him out while he was falling and shooting. But apparently not. They're making it harder on you. So, yeah, like none
Toxic.
of us. Exactly. Whatever. That's an ongoing joke now either. Love that guy. But, yeah, so like we haven't had a chance to play it yet. But I am excited to get out there and change it. I think based on what we've talked about, though, they're going to have to do more than this. It's like a step in the right direction. But without playing it, it's a little hard to say. So. Anything further on this topic, KP?
Definitely. No, I think I just kind of what you said. Definitely a step in the right direction. And, a lot of people in the competitive community, I've already seen their applause for this and in realizing that, there might be change and this SMG meta might get dropped sooner than we thought it was going to be. So we're excited for it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is all about KP. He's joined Counter League, CLG, going pro. He's going to be moving. He's on the next big thing. So we want to hear all about that. Why don't you just wrap up the announcement for us, KP? What happened? What's that mean for you? Who else is out there on the team with you playing Fortnite for CLG? Fill us in.
Awesome. So I had taken a break from gaming last year back in July. It took about 7 months, just worked and kind of like wanted to figure out if I want to continue gaming and go for, competitive gaming. Fortnite came out, wasn't a fan of it. I started playing it in January, actually enjoyed it and started liking it. Fast forward about 6.5 months later, I was basically the announcement came out that there's going to be $100 million. Of course, huge esports news. Everybody's interested. Teams are getting interested. We're all hyped. This is crazy. there's a chance that I could possibly go professional, and I'm making the next steps to figure out what team I want to join, if I can possibly even join a team. Am I up to that par? Am I up to that level? So yeah, a lot of things that went on in the last 6 months, but basically caught up to speed right now. Talked to a lot of different organizations. Talked to 100 Thieves for a little while. Talked to Misfits. Talked to goodness gracious, we talked to FlyQuest, and we went as a team that I had previously before signing to CLG. We were a roster that we're all friends. We've all been playing together for about 3 years. We went to Los Angeles, went to the CLG offices, and we did basically one-on-one interviews with everybody there. And towards the end, they came to me and they said, "Hey, we're really interested in you. We are going to continue evaluating your other teammates, but we want to let you know that we really, really want you, and we think that your envision aligns with our envision." And it kind of put me in a pickle for a bit because I didn't want to leave my boys behind. They had been my best friends, and we made a pact to stay together. And I wasn't sure if I was going to take the offer from CLG. And after some thinking and just thinking about my future and the connections that I can make with the team, what they had to offer, and as well as how welcoming and how much family they were to me, just off the bat, I decided to sign to CLG. And then I found out the other players that were coming on board, and I knew that they were super awesome content creators, super awesome slayers, and I was super excited to basically form that CLG team with them.
Yeah, and who else did they announce along with you the other day?
Yeah, so we have Wish You Luck, Crispy, and Marksman, the YouTuber and big streamer man. He's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I was really excited to see the lineup, and we talked about it before the show, but Wish You Luck coming from the Destiny community, I was excited to see him out there. A lot of people from, we do another show called Fire Team Chat you guys should check out, but it was exciting to see that announcement alongside it. And the video is cool. You mentioned, can you say who helped produce it and talk about that at all? There's a cool announcement video.
Yeah, absolutely. So they kind of gave us a rundown. I signed my contract back in the middle of June. It's August 9th right now. We just announced yesterday on the 8th. Yeah. So keeping this secret bottled up for 6.5, 7 weeks, whatever, was super hard. And they basically introduced to us different ideas that would have different time frames of when the announcement could happen. And this was going to be the longest time frame, but they said we want to go super big Hollywood type style. We want to work with rocket jump, and you want to get an airplane hangar. And we have all these ideas, and basically how the video turned out. Yeah, dude, Freddie Wong from Rocket Jump was a super awesome guy. Completely killed it with the filming. Treated us fantastically. Him and his entire crew, awesome people to hang out with and film and shoot with all day. So that was super exciting to do.
Yep. Yeah, you can check out that video on Counter Logic Gaming's YouTube channel, on their Twitter. Where else?
Yeah, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. They got all the social media outlets covered. So nice. You can just type in CLG Fortnite, and you'll find it.
Nice. So I do want a little history on how you got to where you are, but I know Steven wanted to ask you a little bit about your H1Z1 days and compare with Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Steven, you want to toss that out there?
Yeah. So congrats again on CLG KP. So H1Z1, the Battle Royale mode, was one of my first PC games, and I was absolutely in love with it. And that's where I actually first heard of KP5. He was a super good H1Z1 player. And in that game, it's all about accuracy, about two tapping. You really gotta hit headshots in that game, things like that. And going into Fortnite, it's weird because there's so much bloom and building is a foreign concept. So initially, I saw a lot of H1Z1 players kind of get turned off to the game. And it's funny now that everyone's warmed up, everyone got really good. All the H1Z1 pros are amazing at Fortnite. So it's the Battle Royale runs in their blood, I guess. But I wanted to ask you, KP, what about Fortnite, besides the content and how fast they push out content, what about Fortnite is more appealing to you than H1Z1 and vice versa?
Yeah, that's a really good question. A lot of people have asked me that question. Basically, I just kind of got drawn off of H1Z1 after it started its decline after preseason 3 in Z2. So after March, April area, they kind of started their decline. They didn't really like to listen to their community a lot. And I feel like they were just a little too late on things. And there were some very smart individuals, and we just, as a community and the game company, we couldn't come into agreements with certain things, and the game just kind of started falling off. I started getting bored of it. I had 4,000 hours in the game, and it just was not the same game that I started playing when I fell in love with it. That was, touching on your subject, it was my first ever PC game I've ever touched. I played RuneScape back in the day when I was like 10, but first ever like FPS style, battle royale third-person shooter type style, and I fell in love with it, and the game wasn't what I wanted it to be. Obviously, still owning those skills. And trying to progress in the battle royale genre. I tried out PUBG, wasn't a big fan of it. Then I took my break. I came back, came to Fortnite, and you're right. Right off the bat, I was turned off from it. I was like, this is so dumb. For the first week, I didn't build at all. I didn't know how to build. I didn't edit. And I'm sitting there just shooting people. Number one, getting tilted that my shots aren't hitting exactly where I'm aiming, because that's what I'm used to and not used to bloom in a video game. And number two, every single time somebody would build, I would sit there and I'd try not to rage, but I would rage. Like I used to get so mad and yell at them for building and stuff. And now here I am 8 months later representing a shirt that says just build, like it's completely, 180, and it's, I think what really drew me to the game was, it presented something to me that I sucked at. I was not good at. And I had to work really hard to learn how to build properly and use certain building types in certain situations. And basically, I feel like the biggest skill gap in the game was the building, and I didn't know how to do it. So when I'm not good at something, I want to do my best to get to the best possible version of my as a player that I can. So I had to self-teach myself a lot of things, and I learned a lot from other players and how to perfect a building.
Awesome.
How did you hone that craft, actually? It's what we all want. How can we be as good as you at the game? Like, did you use a certain process, or did you just grind and play? And do you take notes? Do you watch your replays? What do you do in that situation where you're like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I got a lot of people that ask me all the time, like, how can I get better? How can I get better at building, better at aiming? My number one tip to everybody is, honestly, watching is learning. And I watched some of the best builders in the game. I watched Hamlin's, which is by far one of the nuttiest builders I've seen. 72 Hours, insane player. Tfue, I watched. Cloak was really good. Jalmok was very good as well. And these guys were very good at building at the early stages of the game. This is back in January, February, and March. This is kind of when it was going through its explosive process. So watching them and learning from them, and like, they would do stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why have I never thought of doing that? So I would watch somebody else, and I would see what they would do differently from everybody else. And I would take all those different skill sets and then figure out a way to implement that into my own gameplay, my own game style, to make sure that I could perfect it. So I would do things where I would go into the 50v50 mode, where you get a lot more mats, and I would just go to Wailing Woods. And this is before playground mode. I would just chop down trees, and I would sit there and practice and completely kill my win percentage and completely kill my KD, but it's all good because I was sitting there practicing and learning, And then obviously with Playground being out, there's so many different build tutorials on YouTube, and just watching other players and learning how you can perfect those skills and practice it to be the best that you can.
Yep. Awesome. That's good advice. Yeah, it's funny. As much as I ask that question and I want to be better at the game, I have such limited time between, work here at IGN, I stream at nights, and I'll just go in and play. And I would say my advice is, yes, that helps a little, but you do have to do what you're talking about, which is sit down, watch some people, take note of what you're doing wrong, and actually practice. Like last night, I just spent a little bit of time practicing for the first time in Playground, a little 1v1 skirmish with Steven plays with this guy Mountain a lot. And yeah, like just a few matches, I'm like, yeah, like I can see all the things I'm doing wrong already. Now I need to practice them. So be patient and take that time. It sounds like it can take you a lot farther than you think. So, okay, one of the last questions we have for you before we wrap up the show is, now, how do you become a pro like you? What was your path? Were you just playing a lot of video games? Do you think it's integral to be a content creator? How do you get to where you are today? If there's somebody out there who's just like, dude, I want to be you.
Absolutely. Ever since I was a young kid, I saw Halo 3, I saw the pros, and I was like, I want to do that someday. And it's been a long journey, but I would definitely have to say that having a brand and being somewhat of a content creator is going to help you out so much more than just being an amazing player. Hands down, without a doubt, there are so many players in the pro Discord that are better than I am, better builders, more consistent. But at the same time, too, we can keep up with each other. But some of them do stand out as just insane players. This is maybe their second PC game, or they've been PC gaming for years, but they've never really streamed. They've never had really had a Twitter. They never marketed. So I truly think between being a good content creator, being a good person that a company would want you representing them, and being a fantastic player, those 3 points tied together is what's going to get you further in this industry. One of my favorite sayings in life is, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And there's so many undiscovered individuals in this Fortnite scene that I have nothing but the utmost respect for, because I remember being in their shoes 2.5 years ago when I was like just new to the streaming and the gaming, and I just wanted to get my name out there. And it was a very, very long process, and I know exactly how it goes. So be a good representative for companies, try to establish somewhat of a brand or a following for yourself, and then of course be as good as you possibly can be as a player.
Yep.
Great answers.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting to hear you say that. I haven't had the opportunity to ask someone like yourself that question, and it occurred to me that, yeah, like I think absolutely you gotta know that you're a performer too. You're not, to your point, like you're not just the best builder in Fortnite and the best player. It's that you can do this show right now, right? You can go home, you're going to be streaming on KP5 and you can do all of that. Then you can go to the event, and like all those things combined make you a more compelling product than I'm just amazing. You know, obviously that definitely helps a lot, but it's probably the best way to put it is you got to be all those things and absolutely who you know, and get out there and network with people. Steven, do you have any notes on that?
Just work hard and don't be a bleep.
Yeah, don't be a jerk. Yeah. Don't be a jerk and work hard. Yeah, and the content creation is interesting.
Be humble too.
Yeah, and be humble. I agree with that.
That's one of my biggest things. That's one of my biggest things, man, is there's too many people that I've seen that either one, they start kind of taking off a little bit, and then they get a little bit of an ego. And like some people get an ego, but it's for entertainment purposes, and it's jokes, and you can see that. But some people get these egos where it's not entertaining, it's actual egos. Be humble, and you know, like I realized where I was 2 years ago. I was a nobody. So when these people come to me and they're asking like, hey, what should I do? I offer advice all the time. I'll get in a Discord call with you. I will DM you on Twitter. I have plenty of people asking me about talking to certain teams, and it's just be humble, be happy with what you're given, and work your butt off to get further.
That is awesome advice. I knew I liked this guy. I was checking out Twitch, saw KP out there. I didn't know him like Steven did beforehand. I was just going through. I was like, KP5, all right, let me check this guy out. He's trending. This was like several weeks back. Started watching, and I was like, what a great vibe. And you know, when we have guests on the show too, I'm not sure, right? I don't know your background. I don't know if you have some terrible history or something. And you had a good vibe, dude, and it's been awesome having you on the show. Want to give you an opportunity to give some plugs to people. Where can they find you? What's next for you that you want to plug? Let's throw it out there right now.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Number one, you guys are awesome. This is a super awesome, cool opportunity. My family heard about it. They're like, that's so cool. We watched all their other videos, yada, yada. I'm like, solid.
Now we're excited.
Yeah, feel free to catch me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/KP5, KP5ive. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all with the same handle.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to see you out there playing in the new meta, and we're going to be right there alongside you somewhere late at night here out in California. Steve and I play sometimes on youtube.com/Royale Rundown. Steven, why don't you tell them a little bit about what you do on that channel?
Yeah, Royale Rundown is is IGN's YouTube channel. It's all Fortnite. Any news that comes out, it's there. We'll make videos, we'll make guides, weekly challenges, stuff like that, including this interview with KP5. So please check it out, subscribe if you like the content. It would mean a lot to us.
Exactly. So that's it for today's show. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us. We're looking forward to doing more episodes. Thank you again to KP5, and we wish you luck out there in all the future tourneys to come, all your streams and everything, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everyone.